Tableside Talk. My name is Cam Kelly. I'm a commercial real estate broker with the Langert Commercial Group, and to my right is our principal and founder, Evan Langert.
Hi everyone. As Cam said, I am the principal and founder of the Langert Commercial Group. Probably more importantly, I've got 35 years in the rearview mirror of being a commercial real estate professional. So what that means is that I've got hundreds of deals of all types, and I've seen all manner of situations. Cam's younger and has less experience than I do, but he's seen a lot as well. We've had to at times come up with creative solutions to make a deal happen versus letting it drop in the dust. Have run into hurdles that we've had to overcome, and our hope in doing these tableside talks is that we can bring up various topics, maybe address something that you are running into or will run into in your own commercial real estate transaction. It might help you along the lines of giving you something else to think about, considering another solution, or just generally. And with that in mind, drum roll please, our topic of the day.
We are talking about subleasing.
Okay.
So Evan, as you know, we've got periods of time, one of which being now, where we see more subleases come to the market. Now, there could be a variety of reasons why this might happen. I was hoping you could speak to not only those reasons, but also some of the considerations that someone should have if they're looking at a sublease space.
Sure. So just to get back to subleasing 101, a sublease is when a tenant has signed a lease for a space and they can't use it anymore, or don't want to use it anymore, or don't want to use part of it anymore. That can come up for a variety of reasons. Most often these days it's pandemic related. You sign an office lease, most of them are 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And so you sign one in 2018, 2019, here comes COVID, and something happened. Either your business didn't do well, and you don't need the space that you had, or sometimes your business is doing just fine, but we've had this phenomenon happen where a lot more people are working at home. Sometimes entire companies are deciding that they're going to all work at home. Other times it's whoever wants to come in can come in. Whoever wants to stay at home, they can stay at home. And so companies are not needing, they might have signed a lease for 10,000 square feet and they need 5,000 square feet, or 20,000 square feet and they need 6,000 square feet. So they are on the hook when you as a tenant sign a lease for 5 years or 10 years or however long. You are on the hook for the rent for the remainder of that term. If something happens along the way and you don't need all that space, doesn't matter, you're still on the hook for it, unless you have a particularly benevolent landlord who wants to cut you a break, and those are getting in shorter and shorter supply. So what do? Well, you have two choices. One is to grit your teeth and just pay the rent for the rest of the term. The other is to find a sublessee. It could be for all of your space if you don't need the space anymore. In a situation I ran into this week, a company had leased 15,000 square feet right before COVID, and they still need space, but they don't need 15,000 square feet. So roughly a third to a half of it they need to offload. So you can stop the bleeding by getting somebody else to utilize the rest of your space or the full space if you don't need your space at all anymore. So why are subleases attractive to tenants? Well, you can get oftentimes a much better space for a much less of a price, because the tenant's looking at it and saying, I've got $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month leaking out of my pocket for space that I'm not using. So yes, the landlord has 8 other spaces in our building and they're at $35 a square foot. If I put mine up there at $35 a square foot, I'm just competing with them. So normally you'll find sublease space at least a few dollars below what the regular direct lease space is in the same building. That's as an enticement, because the tenant's a little more desperate typically than the landlord, who's in the business of leasing out space and is used to all this. The tenant might be, I'm in the healthcare industry, or I'm in the tech industry. I'm not a real estate person. I lease this space for us. We don't need it anymore. I need to stop the bleeding. So The upside of that is if you want really nice space, but you don't want to spend the money for really nice space, you've got a better shot at getting that in a sublease. The downside of a sublease is, for the most part, you get what you get. So in a direct lease, a landlord might be willing to build out a space for you how you want it, or at least expend a certain amount of dollars per square foot to build that space out for you, and you would have to pay the rest of it. In the vast majority of subleases, they're just not offering anything at all to help you build out the space. They might offer a small amount, $10 a square foot or so, in most cases. So if you look at it and the space was a bunch of training rooms for a tech company or something along that line, and a few offices, but what you need is a lot of offices and not really much in the way of training rooms or open space or anything along that line. The space doesn't really work for you. Then you're not going to get a lot of help from the sublandlord, or the sublessor also it's called, to help you with the build out of that space. So and typically also, the shorter the term that's left, the better of a deal you're going to get. If you got 5 years left on a term, you're not going to get as good a deal as if something, if there's 10 months left in a lease term. You can get a sublease, and most people are just going to say, look, why don't I just talk to the landlord? I know they're going to be out in 10 months. I'll just talk to the landlord about doing a long-term lease. So they have increasingly less of a chance of subleasing the space out. Plus, they've probably been trying to sublease it out for a while. Maybe they crossed their arms and said, this is what we want, I'm not taking any less. And then the months roll by, and they get a little more giving and a little more giving and a little more giving. So there are subleases out there, more than you normally see. It's still not an absolute ton, depending on what your geography is. But if you are a tenant and you want a nice space and you'd rather not spend the money for a nice space, and you can find something with the right duration left, and it's built out largely how you want it, subleases can be the way for you to go. As always with these Tableside Talks, our purpose is to give out general information. Breach the subject, give you some things to think about, but your situation is unique. Every situation is unique. And we don't want to give you just general advice. Cam and I make it easy to get a hold of us. You can email us, you can call us. We're generally pretty quick to get back to you. We do give an initial consultation that's free. So if you want to talk about your specific situation, there's no obligation. We hope, of course, that you'll hire us to be your brokers, but that doesn't always happen. At any rate, give us a call, email us, and have a great day. Good talking to you.